Good. So let's start. So first thing first, I think we all know why we are here, which is to learn about fundamentals of programming, right? And I'm pretty sure like everyone that is here, maybe at some point, maybe we are just starting our programming journey, or maybe we have some knowledge about programming, or who even knows, maybe some of us here are like professionals when it comes to programming. So just to make sure like we follow what we like mentioned about this class, like this class is going to be more or less like for beginners. So we are going to assume like everyone in this class has no knowledge of programming. So we are going to take it from like from day one to like wherever, whichever point you can take it to. So, and staying on this note, so it means we have no knowledge of programming, we know nothing about programming, right? Okay, good. And before I even proceed, how many people have installed the software we are supposed to install? Okay, 1. 2, 3, 4. You can unmute yourself anyway if you feel like you want to like say something. Okay, is it safe for me to assume like everyone has installed the software? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. So we don't have to go through that, right? Yeah, VS Code and Node.js. Thank you, Shegun.
Yeah, sorry, like not everyone actually.
Not everyone. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But if I may ask, are you on the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, but I came a little bit late.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yes.
Yeah, so good. Maybe we discuss that later. So today we won't be taking a look at our VS Code or Node.js anyway. So I'm going to drop more information about that maybe later after this class. So I think we're running out of time. So we can proceed to what we have for today. So first thing is the concept is to talk about fundamentals of programming. And today's class is going to be a little bit more of maybe theory, and it's going to be more like trying to like refresh what the fundamentals of maybe about computers and stuff like that. So let's get started. Like I mentioned, so for our classes, we know that the time we are supposed to meet is 6:30 p.m. every Wednesdays and Sundays, and it's going to be for like 4 weeks. So we know that it's going to be online. Either sometimes if you're having issues with Zoom, we can always use Meet. So and information about this is going to be communicated. And and the class format is going to be like, for example, we are going to pick a topic. Let's say we want to talk about arrays in JavaScript, for example. We are going to pick a topic. We explain like the fundamental principles behind that topic. Let's say maybe JavaScript array. We explain like, okay, this is what array is. These are how you can use array. These are things you can use array to do. This is how to work with array. We are going to explain everything. Once we explain that topic, then we take example of how to work with that topic. So with that example also, we are going to like do exercises, pair programming, and I don't know if maybe we have an idea of what pair programming is or what pair programming is not. So what pair programming, I want to, like I mentioned earlier, so this class, we are going to assume like everyone knows nothing about programming. So what pair programming means is, so we are going to like pair us into like groups. It's going to be like a group of 2. So someone is going to be like a driver, someone is going to be like someone is going to be the one handling the steering, which is the driver, and someone is going to be the one conducting or leading the driver. So in this case, so for example, let's say we have equations. We divided us into group, which is going to be group of 2. So the whole concept of this is we want to like do some problem solving together as a group. So we give each group a question, and you guys like solve it using maybe based on what you've taught in class. So someone is going to be the one maybe writing the code down, and someone is going to be the one saying what that person is supposed to write down. I don't know if this explanation makes sense. You can always unmute yourself and tell me, okay, yes, no.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So this is what peer programming means anyway. So we're going to like use this concept to like enhance our learning, just to make sure like everyone is learning as much as possible. So it doesn't mean today that you are the driver, tomorrow you might be the one directing the driver. So it's going to vary with time. So and some of the things we are going to do also is we are going to have home assignments. And I know you might be thinking, home assignments, we are not in school. Yeah, so but the something about programming is we can only explain everything to you here in class. That doesn't mean that is the end of it. To be a very good problem solver, to be a very good programmer, you also have to put in time to practice, to read, to learn a lot of things on yourself. Like I mentioned earlier, we do exercises in class, we do class example in class, we do peer programming in class. But still, personally, we also have to put in time to do some extra research. And the only way we can do extra research is through home assignments. Because if you have a home assignment, that way you can easily read up on any topic you don't understand. You can read up on any concept you don't get. So, and that's the reason why that home assignment comes in. So it's more about you also putting in extra time to learn. Because the only way we can get better personally is putting in a lot of extra time. And this is like you can only get out of it whatever you put into it, right? So if you put in 100% of your time, then you get 100% out of that thing. That's where the home assignment comes in. And it's not just that it's going to be home assignment, you have to do it on your own. If you have any question, that's why we have the group. Feel free to ask on the group. Feel free to reach out. It's normal to get stuck on the home assignment. It's normal to get stuck. It's normal for you not to understand anything. It's fine. Like, I've been there, I'm still in there, and I know I'm still going to be there. For example, like there is something I'm working on, which has to do with some personal stuff. Right now, I was stuck, and this morning I had to like write an email to someone to help me out. I did some screenshots, sent some of the result I was getting, sent what I was trying to do. So it's normal for you to get stuck at some point. So the main thing is be able to put time into it, to do some research, and be able to like ask questions from people. It's fine if you get stuck, so don't worry. So we are going to do home assignments. And so what I meant by Google Doc Note is, right now we don't really have a board. It's going to be online. So where the Google Docs comes in is most of our writing is going to be on our Google Doc, like a Google document, whereby I'm going to type, or if it is Shegun that is taking the class, Shegun is going to type, and you can see whatever he's talking about. So Google Doc in this sense is going to be like more like our whiteboard. And so the last part is, this class is not going to be like only one person is talking. So it's going to be more of you are going to talk, I'm going to talk, Shegun is going to talk. It's going to be more of something interacting, not just only information is coming from one end. So for example, if you feel like you don't understand anything, feel free to like raise your hand, feel free to like stop me, feel free to stop Shegun and say, okay, I don't think I understand this part. Can you explain again? And if you also have something to add that you feel is going to like benefit the whole class, feel free to like stop whoever is talking and say, okay, I think I have something to add. Like, it's not going to be only from one end alone. It's going to be like from everyone in this class. So at some point I might call on you. It's not like maybe I'm trying to like make you feel bad or something. It's just trying to make sure you get the best out of this class. So, and so like I mentioned, if you have any question, feel free to ask in class, and feel free to ask on WhatsApp group. And so like I mentioned, Shegun is going to be part of the facilitator, and I'm also going to be part of the facilitator. So, and so I expect like everyone coming into this training, we believe like at the end of these 4 weeks, there is something we are looking to like take out of this class, right? So one of the thing is going to be like, for example, you should be able to understand the fundamentals of programming at the end of these 4 weeks. And you won't just understand the fundamentals of programming alone. So the programming language we are going to use in this class is going to be JavaScript. And you won't just understand JavaScript, even if with these fundamentals we are going to treat, you can easily pick any other programming language and be able to like read up and find meaning out of any other programming language you are picking. That's the essence of this class. It's not going to, we are not just going to teach you JavaScript alone, but we are going to teach you something that you can easily pick any other programming, let's say Python, let's say Rust, let's say R. And with this other programming language, you can easily think through some of the stuff we'll be talking in this class and adapt it to any other programming language you want to learn by yourself. And that's the reason why we call it fundamentals of programming. So the next thing is...
But what you're going to tell us in JavaScript will help us to understand the other programming, right?
Yeah, so my point is what we are going to do in this class is going to help you to pick any other programming language and be able to start on your own. You understand?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense now.
Very well.
So the only reason we are using JavaScript here is we can't just be teaching programming without picking any one language, programming language, right? So the reason why we pick JavaScript is okay, so we can easily do things with one programming language. If we want, we can also pick Python and use Python in this class as the programming language of our choice. I don't know if that makes sense now. And that's a very good question. Thanks for that question. And
Yeah,
also, sorry?
It does.
I think someone has been raising her hand.
Sorry, I thought maybe you raised it since because of the software, the tools I mentioned. Okay, yeah, you can go on.
Yeah, that was why I raised it. I raised it when you asked if we've downloaded the softwares.
Okay. Okay, you don't have any question, right?
Oh, I don't.
Okay, yeah, thank you. We can proceed, right? Everyone, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, and also at the end of this class, you should be good at not just writing code alone, not just coming up with stuff, but it's going to like help you with problem solving even in real life. Because the more you do more of coding, the more you even realize like your thinkings start getting better. And I know it sounds a little bit sweet mouth, but with time you realize that. So, and for this program, like I mentioned, we're going to pick JavaScript as a programming language. And for this JavaScript, you're going to look into like data types, different type of data types, conditional statements, iterations, function and other functions. And to start with, we are going to like I mentioned, like the assumption is everyone in this class, we don't have any knowledge of programming. So we are going to take it like one step backward and refresh our knowledge about computers generally. So on this note, I think we can start. So now, so if you want to take notes, you can take notes. If you also want to watch this video back, you want to watch this video. If you have any questions, you can stop me. So now on this note, I don't know if anyone remembers the definition of computers they taught us way back in, will I say maybe our primary school or maybe early junior secondary school. I don't know if anyone remember. Nobody?
I think I failed computer then, so I don't know.
You think you did what?
I think I failed computer, so I can't remember definition then.
You can't remember. Good.
Then what I remember myself is that computer is garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. Good. Anyone? So if you all cannot remember, at least I can remember what they taught me back then. And what they taught me back then, which is quite similar to what Comfort mentioned, is garbage in, garbage out. It's what I put on the screen. You can all see my screen, right?
Yes.
So what I remember they taught me back then was computer is an electronic machine that accepts or store data. It's like electronic machine that accepts or store data, process that data, or manipulate that data. So I want you to underline all those terms like the green thing, the words I put in green color, the one in more or less like say pink color, and the one in blue color, right? It's an electronic machine that accepts or store data, hold that part very well, as it accepts something or store it, depending on if you want it to store it. It's going to process that thing you pass to it, or sometimes they call it manipulation or manipulate, which is going to process or manipulate that data, and it's going to give what? Information or feedback or output out. Like Comfort mentioned, garbage in, garbage out. You pass something to it, it's going to work on that thing, and it's going to give you something out. I don't know if that explanation makes sense. Can you hear me?
Yes, it makes sense.
Yes, sir.
And also, if you have anything contradicting to it, you can always raise your hand. If you have any addition to add also, feel free to stop me. So we all agree, like, this is the definition of computer, this is what computer does, right? So now for the rest of this class for today, we are going to look into how can we pass data to a computer. And for our subsequent classes, we are going to look at what types of data we can pass to computer. Like how can we process that data to get the desired output we want from a computer. So first, let's look at the first part. How can we pass, or how can the computer accept data and store data from us? So the first question is, how do we communicate with the computer? And I also know that for everyone to be joining, whoever is joining with maybe mobile phone or maybe joining with a computer, like a personal computer or with anything you are joining with, I want to say on this note, like you are joining with a computer, right? Either a mobile phone or anything, or tab or anything you are joining with. So it means one way or the other, you have been passing information to your computer. For example, take mobile phone, for example. You take your mobile phone out. Let's say maybe someone using iPhone. You click on your iPhone, then you click, maybe you tap the Siri button or Siri, whatever it's being called on iPhone or your Apple devices. Then you click, you say something like, "Hey Siri, can you, like, what's the time right now?" And Siri is going to tell you back, "Okay, the time right now is blah, 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 blah." What are you doing there? You are communicating with the computer. For example, another thing might be, you go to google.com and you type something there, blah, 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 blah. You're trying to get it, you make some search, and it's going to return an information to you. So what you're trying to do there is you're trying to pass information to a computer. I don't know if that explanation also makes sense. And so we have different means of communicating with the computer. As you can see, this man over here is maybe talking or yelling or doing whatever to his computer. So we have different means of passing information to computer. And on this note, I want to hold, like, I'm using the word informations, I'm using the word data together, right? So, and what the point you're trying to pass here, you will still understand it, but there's something I still want you to understand here is we pass information to computer. The computer is going to process that information and give us the desired result we want. So that three thing is very important. If you're not picking anything out of today's class, I want you to pick that out. We pass information to computer. Computer is going to process that data we pass to it, and it's going to give us something out. So now let's look at the next thing is, how does computer process something? So we have different means of how computer process stuff. Taking our, let's say our laptop, or taking our laptop or our mobile phone, for example. So there is something like this in most laptops. It's called a processor. And I don't know if anyone is familiar with, maybe at the point you want to buy a laptop and you ask someone like, okay, what type of laptop should I buy? And they're going to tell you, okay, what do you want to use it for? Do you want to use it to do graphic design? Do you want to use it to do just typing or do any kind of, so they're going to, okay, if you want to buy this type of computer for this type, you can buy a computer with maybe high processing power, like maybe Core i7, Core i5, Core i blah, blah, blah. And what is this trying to tell us is, like, the higher the processing power means, the higher the computer is going to, like, give you the faster it's going to give you the output or the result of what you're trying to do. So I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to do is say here. So the point I'm trying to make here is we have something inside our electronic device that does the work of that processing of data we pass to that computer. Does that also make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. And
Yes.
okay, thank you. So I don't want to like keep reading text. So definition for some of these things, if you can notice it underneath on the slide, you can easily, maybe we are going to share the slide, you can easily go through that slide and read those definitions. But the point I'm trying to make is for us to see like the vivid picture of the whole, like to see the big picture of the whole thing. So moving to the third part, remember I mentioned 3 parts. First part is passing data to the computer. Second part is processing. And the third part is giving output to us. So, and also we have different means whereby computer can use to pass output to us. And it's majorly divided into like 4 parts. We have the visual output, the sound output, the print output, the data output. Take for example, you are on the, let's say, I don't know where you are now, but let's assume you are in other part of the world. I'm in this other part of the world. So for example, I'm saying something to my computer and the mic of my laptop can pick what I'm saying and it's able to like communicate it back to you over there. So you can hear what I'm saying, though we are not in the same room, right? That's another very good example of passing information to computer processing that, and now giving an output on your hand. Also, if you're talking from your hand, it's going to be like the same way. So think of any devices you are using. Maybe it could be your mobile phone. It could be, for example, so I put one example there, which we are going to see in the next slide. So, but what I'm just trying to let you see is, so one way or the other, we relate with computers in our everyday life, only that it might not be so obvious to us. And the whole concept behind it is we pass information to it, it's going to work on that information, and it's going to give us a desired output. So I will keep emphasizing on this until we understand this. And because depending on our understanding of this, that is going to like determine how far we go in our subsequent classes, because that's the basic of what we are going to be working on. So now moving to the example I mentioned. So as you can see on this example, we all have a mobile phone or a digital camera or whatever at some point. So yes, let's say you went on, okay, I think in Sweden they did Midsummer recently. So let's say during the Midsummer, you went for maybe Midsummer event, you and your friend, then you took a picture at that Midsummer. So maybe on getting home after the Midsummer, then you realize, okay, maybe I want to print this picture and hang it in my room, like frame it up and put it in my room. So you remember you took that picture with your mobile phone, then you connected that mobile phone to your computer, which you pass that image from your mobile phone or digital camera you are using, you pass it to your computer, right? Then there are some stuff that is going to like work on that image. You can see something on the screen, the image pops up on the computer. Then at some point you did maybe some editing or whatever you are doing, or even if you are not doing editing, you put it on your computer, then you pass it to like a printer, and that printer is going to print the picture out for you or the image out for you. You can see the image is coming out, then you take it, then you frame it. So you can see the input is the image from we took with our digital camera, which could be our mobile phone or anything. Then we pass it to the computer, which is, though at this point, more or less, all of them are electronic devices anyway. So, but we pass it to this, let's say our maybe laptop or desktop or whatever. Then we do some stuff on it if you want to do it on it, if you're not doing it on it. For example, printing might be, you press Control P. You press Control P on your computer to print it and send it to like the printer, and the result is going to come out. So I don't know if that is clear enough.
Yes.
Okay. So now, another typical example could be you want to do some arithmetic First arithmetic might be you want to do compute 2 plus 3. We know that 2 plus 3 is what? Is 5. And if you don't want to do it with writing down or something, you can easily pick a simple calculator and just put 2 plus 3 and you get 5. Another example could be doing 3 times 2 times 3, which is going to give you 6, or 2 raised to power 4, depending on whatever you want to do. That's another very good example. So now moving on. So, and once we understand this basic concept of the point of what a computer does is we pass information to it, it's going to process that information and give us a desired output. So on that note, like I mentioned, we have different type of information we can pass to it, but for the purpose of this, our class, the type of data we are going to pass to, like for the purpose of this, our class, so we are going to be doing these 3 things also. We're going to be coming up with some data, and we are going to do some processing or manipulation on those data, and we are going to get some desired result we want out. So for example, like I mentioned, we're going to be using JavaScript language in this class. And for that JavaScript, the type of data we'll be passing to our computers, it's going to be in form of alphabets, it's going to be in form of numbers, and it's going to be in form of symbols. So these are the type of data we'll be dealing with in our class, not the type of, we can also use image, but for the purpose of this, our class, these are the type of data we'll be dealing with. It's going to be in form of alphabet, it's going to be in form of numbers, it's going to be in form of symbols. These are the types of data we'll be working on in our class. And we are going to like do some processing on this data to get the desired output we want. Now, going back to the example I mentioned earlier, which is the arithmetic. So you can see here, the type of, looking at the example one, the data we are passing here is going to be what? 2 and 3, which are what? They are numbers, right? And the output we want is the addition of what? 2 and 3, which is going to be 5, if the computer is right? For a second example, what is going to be the data we are going to pass to it? It's going to be 2 and 3, which are, it's going to be 3 data there. First one, 2 is going to be number. First one is going to be the number, which is 2. Second one is going to be a symbol, which is a multiplication symbol. And the third one is going to be a number, which is 3. And we want our computer to do what? To do the multiplication of 2 and 3, or to manipulate or process these 2 figures, depending on the operator we're asking it to do. And in this instance, it's going to be what? 3. It's going to be multiplication. So we want our computer to do what? Multiply 2 by 3 to give us the output we want, which is going to be 6. Same thing also goes for computing the computing 2 raised to power 4, which is going to be 16. So 2 is the number we are passing in. We are also going to pass symbol, which is raised to, and the last data we're going to pass there is 4. And if we do this right, computer should give us 16. I don't know if this makes sense. And so if you look at on my right and on my left hand side, I don't know if it is the same for you. You see like we have this like a picture or image that shows different symbols, shows numbers and alphabets. And for the alphabet, you can see capital letters. There are some of them are in capital letters, some of them are in small letters. And what this image is trying to tell us is, for example, like one thing I think I can also quickly explain here is so like most our computers doesn't understand all these alphabet, doesn't understand all these numbers, doesn't understand all these symbols. The only thing our computers understand is 0 and 1. For example, when we speak, they call it, when we speak human language, but computer doesn't understand human language. The only language it understands is called machine language. And machine language is 1 and 0s. So for example, if you press, let's say you are trying to type on, let's say you open a Microsoft Word and you are trying to type something in Microsoft Word. So if you type, my name is, you know, on your keyboard, you can see M, you can see Y, right? So if you press M on your keyboard, directly computer doesn't understand what M is. But for computer to understand, so it came up with something like, once you press M, it's going to like, something is going to like translate it to what computer understand behind the word that we cannot see. And so if you press M, the it's going to come up with some equivalent of it, which is going to be in form of 1, it's going to be in form of, though at first, it's going to be in form of a number. At first, it's going to be in form of a number, like let's say maybe 46, let's say 78, let's say 64, something like that. And based on that number, it's now going to convert it to like 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, that the computer can understand. Then on the other hand, when the computer understands, it's now going to translate it back into M you press. So it's going to show you M on your Microsoft Word. Same also goes for Y. It's going to translate the Y. If you are typing capital letter Y, it's going to come up with the equivalent number, which is, I think, maybe let's say 46 or 76. Then that 76 is going to translate to 1000. Then at the end, it's also going to translate it back to Y, small y, then it's going to show you your Microsoft Word. You remember you have a keyboard, you open a Microsoft Word and keyboard, they are not families. But there's something that does the work of taking that input when you type it on the keyboard, converting it into something that the processor on the computer, or let me use the word processor on your computer, understand, and now sending it back to what Microsoft Word, the processor behind Microsoft Word, also understand. So that's now going to show you something that you can easily read. I don't know if you understand that explanation also. So good. So computer only understand.
Sorry a bit. So like on that case, you mean like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I mean like on this case, you mean like the CPU actually is acting like the processor of the information you are giving, basically.
For this class, we can make that assumption.
Yeah.
So for myself, I'm not a computer science student, so I might not even understand the nitty-gritty of how it works behind. You understand?
Okay.
So diving deep into this might seem more complicated. So for this class, we can make an assumption like, okay, so once you press that, there's something that is going to accept it, do some conversion, do some interpretation or compiling. You understand?
Yeah.
But not to make things more complicated. That's why I'm trying to like stay on a very high level, so we get the whole big picture of everything.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
I don't know if that makes sense also now.
Yeah, like I mean, basically you just type a rate and then the computer do its processing and then gives you according to the desired numbers, and then it gives you back what you actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have some kind of other machines, like maybe it could be some if, for example, in programming instance now, let's say we are trying to we write some English words. Codes are more or less like some English human words, right? But we have some, maybe let's say some interpreter compilers that does work of converting it to like what computers understand. You get, but not to make things complicated. So it's good we stay on a very high note and not make this whole class a little bit boring, because this is not what this class is all about. So I'm just trying to explain this so we understand the whole concept of what we are trying to do. So now moving, or I don't know if anyone has any more question. Any other question? No, okay. So now moving forward, like I mentioned, we have different, like you mentioned, our work in this class is going to be get some data, pass it to the computer, and we ask that computer to do some work on it and give us the data output. For example, we want to do 2 + 2, which is going to give us 4, or do 2 times 3, which is going to give us 6. So like I mentioned, the type of data we're working on in this class is going to be combination of numbers. It's going to be a combination of alphabets, and it's going to be a combination of symbols. And to make things very easy and not to make things complicated, in most programming language, which I mentioned, we'll be using JavaScript in this class. So in most programming language, we have 2 types of data, and they call them data type. We have 2 types of data. First one is called the primitive data type. Don't worry about all these terms. You get to understand them soon. We have the primitive data types and we have the reference data types. So for the first part of our class, we are going to deal with primitive data type. Later, then we are going to talk about reference data type. So for now, I'm going to switch from this slide. I'm going to use combination of this slide with a Google Doc now. Like I mentioned, we're going to use the Google Doc. So Google Doc is going to be like our board where we can easily write and everyone can see. And we can also share the link so you can go back and go through it. So I'm going to stop this slide and open a Google Doc. So let me open a Google Doc now. So let's call it first class. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, is it possible to zoom it?
Yeah, I can. Let me type first. But can you see? Oh, now? Is it okay?
Yeah, we can see, but it's not it's not large.
Large. Okay, let's see. Zoom 150 now. Is it okay?
Yeah,
Actually,
it's
on
okay, but you can do
on
better.
your phone or whatever you are using, you can
You can zoom it, right?
enlarge it. Yes,
You can zoom
enlarge
it.
it by you can zoom it yourself.
I think so.
Uh-huh.
Now? Is it okay yet or not okay?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay if we individually zoom whatever we are using. We'll see.
Okay, now I get. Yeah, please, if you can do that, that would be nice because I'm at 200 marks now. So now, for the first part of this class, we are going to like introduce us to like this primitive data type. And so later on, we're going to introduce us to reference data type. So for us to understand these also, I'm going to copy this primitive data type now. Take it here. I believe we all can see, right? And take this one after the other to explain.
Yes.
So like I mentioned, in JavaScript or any programming language, we have different data types. So it's divided into two: primitive data type and reference data type. So what does primitive data type means? So there is one way I think I can easily explain it. But before I'm going to explain what primitive data type means, I'm going to quickly introduce us to different types of primitive data type we have. So once I introduce us to different type of primitive data type we have, then I'm going to like use that, stay on that note and explain how primitive data type works itself, like what the big picture of primitive data types. So first, a string. What does a string mean? A string is more or less just like it could be combination of, a string means it's more than one letter. For example, this is letter G, right? For it to be a string, it's going to be more than one. This is two G's. This is a string. So they only call it string because so it's more like they trying to say like, okay, it's a combination of different, it's like a combination of different characters. And characters in this instance could be number, it could be symbol, it could be alphabet. I don't know if you understand what that means. So provided this is more than one, we are safe to call it a string. And in JavaScript, how do you differentiate between a string and just normal letters or normal letters? So you have to put it in what? Examples of strings. You have to put it in quotes. So once you put it in either double quotes or single quote like this is a string. If you send this to anyone, anywhere in the world, if you tell them you just wrote a JavaScript syntax, and you tell them what type of data type is this, then they're going to tell you this is a string. How did they know this is a string? Because you always put your string inside a quote. It could be a double quote, it could be a single quote. I don't know if you understand that.
Is it string or strange?
String.
String.
STRNG. Don't mind my Nigerian pronunciation. So provided you put it inside a quote, it could be single quote, it could be double quote, then that is a string. So to make it a little bit more concrete now, you can say, okay, now I know someone in this class, which is Comfort. So I just wrote Comfort in a string. This is in a quote, and this is a string. Is it getting complicated?
But if it's not in quote, is it not a string?
So if it is not
Isn't
in
it-
quote,
Isn't it a string?
it is not a string. So we are still coming back to if it is not in quote. So we talk more about if it is not in quote. We talk more about that soon. For example, if I want to say name equals Comfort. Or let me say it's your first name, right? Let's say first name equals Comfort. It means we are writing a name of someone that is Comfort, then we are putting it in quotes, which makes it a string. And what this means, we soon understand. Like what I'm trying to do here, we understand it very soon. I just don't want to make things complicated. So I want to take it step at a step, so we get the big picture of, okay, this is a string, this is other type of data type. Then we now build on that moving forward. But if you think this doesn't make sense, you can easily stop me so I can find a better way to explain it. I don't know if you understand this. I notice we are running out of time, and at least I want us to cover at least 3 types of this data type today. Can I move on? Or do you think okay, for example, let me ask this question. How many people understand what a string is now? How to determine a string? How many people understand how to determine a string? Okay, I can only see one hand. 2, 3, please. 4. Now I'm feeling like I'm bad at explaining things. 5, please. Only 5 people understand. Oh, fuck. How many minutes? Okay, we have like 6 minutes. So for last time, I'm going to take what string again. How to like determine. Okay, 6. We have 6 now. 2 more people. Then I want to believe everyone understand. Okay, maybe for the last time. So in JavaScript, but so far you understand the reason why we mention string, right? Do you all understand why we mention string? Why we are trying to study string?
Yes.
Okay, good. Which string is the type of primitive data type? And if you remember the definition of what computer is, an electrical machine that accepts data. So the type of data we can pass to it is now what? Is a string. I don't know if you understand this point now. And that's the reason why I have to like take that pain of explaining how a computer works so we can understand when it comes to that type of data. And now we see one type of data now, which is a string. So let's say we want to, like we are trying to type on our computer now. We are typing this KKK, and if you want to tell our computer like this is a string, what did I need to do? Put it in quotes. Exactly. So with this, my computer is going to understand this is a string. But mind you, now we are only writing in what? Google Doc, not a test, not IDE, right? Not like a code editor. If it's a code editor is going to easily understand what we are telling that code editor is like. We just declare and initialize a string. So we are telling you, I'm telling that code editor like this is a string. So anytime code editor sees this, he's going to know, okay, what this guy is trying to tell me is like, this word, it's a string. There's no argument about it. So we both agree, understand, like what I'm telling you, this is a string. The code editor understand that this is a string. I also understand this is a string. I don't know if that makes sense now. Let's take another one, for example. And you remember I mentioned like the string could be combination of what? Letters, numbers, space, symbols, or anything. So we can take another one. Let's call it another type of string. And this one, I'm going to put it in single quotes. Let's say 23. Let's say date of birth now. Let's say 26 June 2002. Looking at this is a date, right? It's a number. It's a date. It's a number with symbols. But to us, we know this to be a date. And provided we put it in a quote, we are telling that code editor, whatever we are telling, or whoever we are telling, like, this is a date, we all agree, but I want to take this as a string. How string works, we are going to understand it soon. But I just want to understand this data type, then we understand how we can process them, how we can manipulate them to get the desired result we want. So we keep repeating that past information, that past data, process that data, and get desired output. So moving on next, I want to believe at least you understand.
No. Is there a particular scenario where you must use single or double quote?
So in JavaScript, there's no specific scenario. Yeah, there is specific scenario, you're right, but mostly, to be honest, for most of our class, there's particular scenario which I can give you right now, but not to make things very complicated. So let's assume it this way. There are particular scenarios you can do that. For example, if you're trying to do some formatting, you can start with double quotes and put some single quotes there. Like you're trying to do some output formatting, good. That's one good scenario. But in most scenarios, including our class, so you can use any of it. It's not like a must that you have to use double quote or single quote. You can use any of it. Depending on whatever you think is convenient for you, you can use either single quote or double quote. But there is a way we can use both of them together just to do some formatting. I also want us to know that also, but you can use either single quote or double quote, depending on you. So that's a very good question also. Thank you. And I think on this note, we can stop on string. And so let's try to take number. And, okay, this class is supposed to, we still have like 16 minutes, right? Maybe you can stop on no. So let's take the second one. Control I, Control V. So the next one we are going to take is, so example of, we all know what numbers are. Numbers are just, let's say letters from 0 to 9. So which means number could be 0, it could be 1, it could be 56, it could be 7, 8, 9. And if you notice, in this instance, we are not putting it in quotes, right? So if I put this in quotes, then it turns to what? A string, thank you. Then it turns to a string. But if I did not put it in quotes, then it's what?
Number.
Number. I don't know if this is clear enough. So this can also be combination of.
But it's just one number. I thought you said there have to be at least two to be a.
So for string, it has to be combination of. It has to be more than one. Though let me add this one. I'm going to talk about this one right now. So let me add this one called character. So it's not going to get complicated now. So I'm going to talk about this character soon. So maybe I can talk about it after this. Let me talk about it here, so you understand something. So I'm going to talk about this something called characters shortly. So, but for numbers can be one letter and it can be combination of more than one. Numbers can be one letter or combinations of more than one letter. String, yeah, it has to be series of characters. So on that note, I'm going to explain what character means. So most of the time, they don't really mention characters now anymore. But for me, I also consider character to be a data type, but just that it's a family of string. So what does character means is it has to be a single letter. And how do we denote character? It also comes in string. Example of character. They call it character or char or car. Some people call it car, some people call it char, depending on how you call it. So an example of it is going to be, it comes with either a single quote or double quotes, but it only has to be one. So that's the difference between character and string. I don't know if that answers your question. So if you see something in quotes, and if it has one letter, then it means it's a character. But if it has more than one, then it means it's a string. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah,
So
what,
okay.
What if is a number and put in quote?
It's also a character, which is what I was about to do.
Oh, okay.
So it could be like this. So I'm also going to say this again. Remember that all this data we are talking about, these are the type of data we can pass to our computers. In the context of this, our programming language we'll be talking about. So moving on to the next one, I want to believe like character is also makes sense and you understand what character means, right? So moving on to the next one, which is going to be something called another data type called Boolean. So Boolean, you might be thinking like, for example, okay, you might start thinking like, okay, in what instance do we use? You might start thinking like, in what instance do we use string? In what instance do we use number? Like at maybe a scenario, a case whereby you use all this stuff. So maybe I can also come back and explain this stuff now. Let's say you are trying to like, for example, let's say you go to, okay, let's go to, can someone give me any website? Let's go to Facebook, no. Any website.
Airbnb.
Google.com.
Okay, Airbnb. Let's say we go to Airbnb. Good. I don't think I have I think I do, but I don't think I have it soon. So let's go to like login now. So, okay, let's go to create an account, sign up. So good. So you can see here, to sign up, you say, welcome to Airbnb. First thing is asking us to pick the country we're from, right? Or region. Then the next thing is asking us to do what? Put our phone number there. You can see a scenario where you are passing a number data type to computer now. I don't know if you get that, if you understand this scenario. So it is expecting us that anything we are pressing here should be what? It should be what?
Numbers.
Numbers, exactly.
Number.
That's one good scenario. Another good scenario is, let's say if you want to sign up with our email. So in this instance, we are not putting quotes there, right? So we put our Gmail, we are going to put our email. And you know, we are not supposed to put code there, right? On gmail.com. So in this instance, we are passing what? My email could be a combination of these letters and numbers with symbols, with alphabet, with symbols, dot, and with alphabet. So more or less, this might not be obvious to us, right? In this instance, what we are trying to pass here it's more like a string. It's a string anyway. It's not just more like a string. The only thing there is we are not putting quotes there. At the back end, when this thing is going to be processed, it's going to take it and store it somewhere. So it's going to save it in form of a string. Like if you go to their database, for example, let's say maybe SQL or whatever database they're using, they always have the field, which in this instance, the field is the email, like the placeholder for that thing is going to be the email. And for that data type, they're going to put it there, like, what's the data type for this? They're going to ask, is it a string or is it a number, or it's going to be different type of data. So they're going to click, okay, this is a string. So they are going to put it there that if you put any other thing there, if you type this there, it's going to tell you this is not a valid email. No, there are still some stuff they did there to check if this is an email or not an email. For example, if I put at gmail.com, then it's going to think, okay, this is an email. There's still some, will I call it, not authentication anyway, but there's still some stuff they have written behind the hood to check if this is an email or not an email. So, but the point I'm trying to pass here is for them to store this thing, at their backend, it's going to be stored as a string, so that if anybody wants to work on this email, it's going to give them in form of a string. I don't know if you understand this. If you understand this, the point I'm trying to make here.
Yeah, yes, if I may ask a question.
Okay.
Then, right now that we are putting in this, at the back end, you said this, they are going to, it's going to be like as a string, you get it, because there they'll put it if it's a string.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
Which
so
means it will have a quote, even though we are not putting quote, because it's just
we are not putting it there. Yeah, exactly.
But my question is, for number, you said number can be a single letter or combination. So for number, that means letters are not included in numbers.
Letters are not included in numbers. Yeah, you mean alphabet, right?
Yes, alphabets are not included. What about symbols?
In numbers, symbols are not included in numbers.
Okay, so it's purely numbers.
Numbers, exactly.
Okay, all right.
And we understand more about this when we start doing some examples. We understand why it has to be strictly numbers, why it has to be alphabet, because so I don't want to start getting complicated now. For each of these stuff, we have some ways we can manipulate them. So we are still going to come down to that. So, but it's good we understand all these data type first, then we now understand how we can now work on them. So for example, let's say we enter this email and it's saved directly to their database. And if they click at the back, when they are setting up the database, they click it to be of data type string. If anyone wants to work on it, there are some type of stuff that they can do that is only limited to string. Like there are some type of operations that they can do that is only limited to string, that is not limited to number. A good example is if we write string of G, if we write string of dummy times comfort, can we multiply this?
No.
Is it possible to multiply alphabet together?
No.
No, exactly. So which means we can't do operation like multiplication, we can't do operation like addition, we can't do operation like subtraction, and we can't do operation like division.
Okay.
Do you get the point now?
Yeah.
But for numbers, it's just like a normal pure mathematics we do in secondary schools. Like normal mathematics we do right from our primary schools. We know that numbers, we can do some operation like multiplications, right? We can do some operation like division. We can do some operations like subtraction. Yeah, exactly. Do you get the point now? So, and all these type of operations, we are also going to look into them also. And operations we can do on this is like we can check if a good operation we can do on this dummy, like this string here, is we can check if the first alphabet, we can check if example of an operation we can do on a string. Let's say someone register, like a lot of people register on that Airbnb, and we want to check if all, okay, let me put it this way. Let's say we have 3 people who registered now. Sorry, Control C, Control V. Let's say we have Comfort. She also registered on Airbnb. We also have who is in the class. We have BC also registered, and so note these are 3 different users who registered on Airbnb. And an operation we can do here is we want to check if a user with last name or first name or name equals to dummy registered, right? This is possible, or is it not possible?
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible for us to check if someone that's with this name called dummy registered. So we can, so these are type of operations we can perform on this type of data called string. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it uses characters.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, but how we can do this, we are coming down to that. But I just want you to see all those use cases of where all these things comes in. So now, because of our time, we are running out of time. So let's see, maybe we can. So let's see if we can treat Boolean. So another data type is called Boolean, and it's as simple as true. It only has 2 ways, which is called true. It can either be true or false. So now, so going back to this our operation, this, like, remember I said we have 3 users here, and I'm trying to give one good scenario of where we can use Boolean or how Boolean comes in. Let's say example is we have these 3 users who register in our on Airbnb, and maybe you as a software developer or data analyst or data whatever at Airbnb, so they want you to check if a user with the name dummy register on Airbnb website. So once you write your code, you do whatever you want to do. It could even be, you can even use Excel. You can use anything that you think is going to get this done for you. Once you do whatever you need to do, and you check, does someone with name dummy register on the platform, right? If everything works fine with your code, or if everything works fine with whatever you are using, then at the end, it's going to tell you what? Like, okay, yes, someone with someone named dummy registered, right? But computer is not going to tell you this, because computer doesn't understand how to say yes, someone with dummy registered. The only thing it can tell you is, the only thing computer is going to tell you is either 1 or 0, because that's what computer understand. And either 1 or 0 can, with JavaScript or not, or with any programming language, can easily be also termed as true. 1, they always use 1. We are going to see what I mean soon. So most of the time, 1, not even most of the time, all of the time, 1 means true and 0 means false. So we can check, does someone with name dummy registered, and computer is going to tell us 1 or true. Okay, someone with name dummy registered, if that is true, it's going to tell us true. If it is false, it's going to do what? It's going to tell us false. I don't know if you get the point I'm trying to make with this Boolean also. And another use case could be, you could tell this computer like, okay, check if someone with username dummy registered, if a user named dummy registered, then go to go to his account, right? So let's look at it again. Let's come, let's close this. Let's say we are trying to sign in or log in. So if I try to log in with my email, if I put my email here, blah, 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 at wherever, .com, then it's going to ask me to put my password, or it's going to tell me like this person does not register. Okay, maybe it's noticed I didn't register or something. So let's assume maybe understand that I registered now. The next thing it's going to ask me to do what is to put my password. Then if I put my password, then it's not just going to allow me to go in. It's going to do some authentication, some checking behind the wood that I don't know. It's going to check if truly this person with this user email registered, and if this password is also, you can not that word I'm using, if this person with this email registered, if this password is also same as this, it's also the same password that this person registered with, then do what? Take that person to maybe where they listed, maybe to the listings where they put all those houses, or take that user to his or her account. And everything boils down to, if this is true, then do this. If this is false, then tell the user like, okay, you haven't registered. Maybe you need to register, or maybe your password is not correct. And that's what leads to sometimes you hear invalid password, invalid username, invalid blah, blah, blah. So if this is true, then do this. If this is false, then do this. I don't know if you get the use case of true and false now. So now moving on, what's the time now? Oh, I think maybe we have to
so Boolean is only used for testing, true or false?
We have other use cases also, but most of the time you see them using it in a condition of they call it conditional statements, or doing some conditional checking or logic. If you're trying to just to do some checking, okay, if this is right, then do this. Or sometimes you might be checking like, okay, for example, if you are, let's say we have these numbers now. So let's say we have this number 1, blah, 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 blah. And we wrote some code to check if 1 is included in this number. So we wrote some code to do this. Then if it is true, it's going to tell us what? True. Yeah, true. 1 is there. You can see in this case, we are not using Boolean to check. We're only getting a Boolean data because this is true. This is correct. I don't know if I answer your question now. So it's not only used to check, we also get it as an output from a computer or from wherever code we are writing. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. So I think maybe we have to stop on this note. It's 9:15 already. We are supposed to stop 19:45. So I don't know if we have any question or anything.
Hi, Dami. Please, I have a quick question.
Okay.
Under numbers,
Mm-hmm.
I see we have integers. Could we have negative integers as numbers?
Yeah, we can. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mention that. It could be. Sorry, that's a very good question. Sorry, I didn't mention that it could be negative.
Okay.
And it could be 0 also.
Thank you.
That's a very good question. Thank you. So any other question? Any other question? I think I can now force stop recording, right? So Zoom. Let's stop recording. Did I even record?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Stop.